what do you know, folks? Another divisional game. The Pittsburg Steelers are traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens here. Steelers and Ravens both have a very, 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 very small chance at making the playoffs. So this game does have implications. Baltimore comes in at 5.5-point favorites, which is weird to me, knowing that it's probably more than likely, in my understanding of the situation, going to be Tyler Huntley. Like, we thought Lamar Jackson was a week-to-week thing, and the fact that every week he's not really even practicing, first of all, right? He's not even sniffing the field. So there's really little reason for me to believe that in a season where the Ravens literally need the Jags to win for them to have a chance, that they would risk Lamar Jackson's future. So I think that more than likely Tyler Huntley will play. I think that the Steelers have a really, really big chance to pull off an upset. The Ravens' defense has been abysmal. Tyler Huntley, yes, he's been great as a backup, and actually, really, really good as a backup, but they have their flaws. It's very, very apparent. I really liked what I saw from Pittsburgh last game, right? I mean, it wasn't a game that they were 100% going to win, right? I mean, the Browns are decent. I mean, they're like, that matchup should be competitive, but I just felt like the Steelers wanted it more. The whole Big Ben thing, I think a lot. Najee Harris, God, dude, that dude's a freak. So, like, all encompassing, I still think Pittsburgh plus 5.5 here, I would 100% lean that way.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right, because if they win, that they definitely have a chance to get into the playoffs. I was listening to Mike Tomlin as he was prepping for it, and he was also prepping in terms of Huntley getting the start. And he said something very interesting. He was like, well, Huntley's a guy that like worked really hard in the preseason, and like he's number 2 quarterback in that team for a reason. Like he showed great skills. He can run the ball, and he can also throw the ball really well. And he's got a good connection with Mark Andrews now. So on the defensive side, like the Steelers have been lacking. So we'll definitely need to get that defense to kind of get work together like they did last week against the Browns. I'm hoping for a big TJ Watt game, because 1.5 more sacks and then he gets the record.
Well, let me tell you, he's going to get it.
Yeah.
You know why? Because the Ravens have allowed 366 total yards per game this season. This is the most they've allowed since 1996. Also, they have a minus 21 sack differential. That's the worst in team history.
That's huge.
So, like, there's an explanation for everything. And why is Lamar Jackson sucking so bad when we know he won an MVP a couple years ago? It's because they're just bad. Their line is bad on defense. Their line is bad on offense. They're bad in secondary. They have skilled players. They have players that can do big things, but they're just not good enough. When you can't do anything if your line on both sides of the game are that bad. And a couple of other things that kind of lean, actually, no, there's no leaning in this game. It's just a bunch of complex stats. So the Ravens are so bad.
How bad are they?
There you go. The Ravens are so bad that they have lost 5 straight games, which is their longest streak within a season since 2007. So this is literally their worst football in, close to 2 decades.
15 years.
Yeah. So they're playing literally, like, you can visually tell.
Yeah.
They're not
in such a disarray.
They shouldn't make the playoffs.
No.
They're going to get destroyed.
They'd be one and done, 100%.
Yeah. There's just too many offensive firepowers in the AFC now, even in their own division, that they can't overcome this. They just can't.
Yeah. It's I hope that the Steelers get the win. The offense with Najee Harris is going to be huge. Deontay Johnson I think he's got COVID, so he's on the COVID list. So no Deontay Johnson, maybe big Ray McLeod day. Claypool needs to step up as well. But yeah, they can certainly do that against this defense. And I hope despite whether or not we make the playoffs, I think that's going to be a big stretch, but I hope we have a proper send-off for Big Ben.
Yeah. There's only one thing you have to do in order to win this game.
Yeah.
The Steelers are 1-7 this season when allowing 24 or more points. They're 7-0 and 1 when allowing fewer than 24 points. So just don't
magic number. The magic
24.
Kobe Bryant.
It's the best number ever.
Yeah. R.I.P. But
huge.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I wanted to note is shout out to the Ravens as an organization, right? Tyler Huntley, second-year quarterback, undrafted, really, like undrafted quarterback, and he earns the backup quarterback spot. He's played in down the stretch every game in which the Ravens needed to make the playoffs. They're fighting for the playoffs. Yes, they didn't win every game, but he looks a lot better than I think anybody would have thought he would look or have given him credit for.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a testament to his coach, John Harbaugh, empowering him, trusting him, knowing that he's a similar style of player to Lamar Jackson, and not being like, oh, you're undrafted. Like, you don't have any experience in the NFL. Let's go get Gus Frerotte and have him start just because he's played games. Mm-hmm. Like, that to me speaks volumes, right? Yeah. Like, down the stretch, they were 8-5. They needed to win games to make the playoffs. Yes, they lost all 3 of their games, but I think all of us can agree that it wasn't because of Tyler Huntley. Their defense just can't stop anybody. So, like, in that sense, I'm very, very impressed with what we've seen from Tyler Huntley. I think the Ravens are going to get a ton of calls in the offseason with teams looking for Tyler Huntley. Like, what's the offer? What's the price on that now, right?
How about you send off Lamar Jackson for even more draft picks?
Yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson's going to cost like 3 first-round picks. And it's going to be ridiculous. But yeah, he's made a name for himself enough that like he's going to get looks next year as a possible starter in the NFL. So that's going to be impressive. But I'm with you, Shovit. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for the Steelers. I'm rooting for Big Ben and a send-off. The last thing, and the reason I'm rooting for the Steelers is my first prediction of the podcast season, our preseason prediction, my best bet of the overall season. I was hammering the Pittsburgh Steelers over 8.5 wins on the year.
Nice.
And what do you know? It comes down to week fucking 18, and it's all because they tied Detroit. They should already be at 9 wins, but they tied the Lions, and now they need to beat the Ravens so that the best bet of the year can fucking come in.
I know. I took that bet as well at the beginning of the year, and it's all because of the fucking Lions and COVID.
It's COVID.
2 reasons, because Big Ben didn't play, Mason Rudolph came in. Oh, man, but I hope they get that bet, and I hope they get the win.
Yeah, so it should be good. A lot to play for there still, and 2 teams still fighting for a playoff spot. Next game on the board.